Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1125B, and today's date is November 11th, 2016, and the title of the episode is The Deep State is Covering Their Tracks While Trying to Keep Power. Now, before I get started, I just want to make two announcements. Today is Veterans Day, and I want to salute all those who have served. Thank you very much for your service. I appreciate it, and I'm sure everyone appreciates you sacrificing almost everything to serve this country. And once again, thank you very much. My second announcement is the Cliff High interview on the X22 Report Spotlight is now uploaded. You can go over to X22 Report Spotlight on YouTube. You can see the video there, or you can come over to the x22report.com site. All you need to do is scroll down a little bit, look over to your right-hand side, you'll see the video there. You can do the same with newssentinel.com, same thing, scroll down a little bit, look over to your right-hand side, and you can play the video there. Let's get into the economic collapse, political and geopolitical news. Now, when we talk about this collapse that is coming, I don't want people to think that, oh, he's a fearmongerer, oh, he's just trying to scare us. And I have to repeat this again and again and again, because it's like telling people there's a hurricane coming. And if this terrible storm is coming, and I tell you, listen, get prepared, this storm might destroy your house, you might not have electric, you might not have water, you might not be able to get food, so you better stock up on food, you better get some water, batteries, and things like that, and hunker down, because it is going to be an awful storm. Now, is that considered fear-mongering? No, it's telling people to get prepared. And we're not just telling people that the economy's collapsing out of the blue. We've been tracking this for quite a while. So when we look at the economy, we know that, look, it took this period of time for the economy to deteriorate to the point where it completely collapsed, and then the central bank decides, you know something, we're just going to let it go. We're going to break the illusion and just let it collapse. And the reason why this was done was to have a record. So if this should ever happen again, hopefully not, but most likely it will, because we have those individuals behind the curtain who always are trying to get power. We can understand what they're up to, what they're doing, and follow it. And this is what we've been doing for quite a while. So this way, no one is surprised. It didn't come out of the blue. We knew it was coming. We weren't saying it was coming. And we can give facts of why it was coming and what they did to make it happen and how they profited off of all of this. Now, as we know, Donald Trump is the elected president. We're seeing protests all around the country. And some of these protests are turning into riots. And Donald Trump was out there, and he's saying that a lot of this is incited by the media. And he says they're professional protesters. I call them agent provocateurs. And they're mixed into the everyday protesters. We've seen this before, where you have a peaceful protest and you have the person with a ski mask or a bandana and a hat, and all you see is their eyes, and they have a bat, they have a bottle, they have a sign, and they throw it and they try to stir things up. Well, this is what we're seeing right now. And he's right. But the corporate media is out there trying to make it like he's crazy, because he's sending mixed messages. One minute he's saying there's professional protesters, the other minute he's praising the protesters and asking for calmness and things like that. Well, the reason why it's mixed messages is because two things are happening. He understands that there's agent provocateurs, and then he realizes there are also people out there that are truly protesting. Yes, there might be people upset about what has just happened. I mean, we have to expect this. But the corporate media is trying to use this, saying that he's confused in what's going on. His messages are mixed. No, they're not. Actually, what is happening here, and you see throughout the corporate media, the social media, they keep calling this the anti-Trump protest, the anti-Trump riots. And all of this is being ginned up by George Soros and his organizations to create chaos in America. And they keep talking about hate and how everyone is racist who believes in Trump. Well, let me ask you this. Those people who are throwing things, those people who are beating people up because they voted for Trump, those people who are screaming and yelling, isn't the hate coming from the Hillary camp and not from Trump? Aren't they the ones who are doing this right now? I mean, listen to what these individuals are saying and what they're doing. How they're going to die, how they can't live, how they can't go on after this. I mean, this was an election. They didn't lose a family member. They weren't diagnosed with a terminal disease. All their hard-earned money didn't disappear. They weren't thrown out of their house. They didn't lose a limb. And this is how they're reacting. Now think about this for a second. When this collapse occurs, how are they going to handle that? They're not going to. They're going to have nervous breakdowns worse than we're seeing right now. And it looks like the Hillary people, they're not giving up. They have a petition out there where they're saying we want the elections overturned. We want Hillary as president. And they're continually pushing this. Now, what's very interesting about all of this, the protesters, the riots, I haven't heard Hillary or Obama come out and say they condemn the violence. Not once. Yes, they say, let's calm down. But they've never really said, listen, do not push violence, do not push hate, do not beat up people. Especially Hillary. I haven't heard her come out at all. Maybe she will, but I haven't heard it yet. And we can see that they're pushing this petition because they're saying that Hillary has the popular vote, which she does. And of course, we know how she got it. It was manipulated. The whole thing was planned. And what's very interesting about all of this is that they kept on saying to to Trump, when you lose, you will concede. You will accept the election results. And they kept on pushing this over and over and over. And now that he won, it looks like, again, the Hillary camp will not accept the election results. They wanted him to, but it looks like they will not accept it. And in colleges, they are creating safe spaces for students to deal with this emotional crisis. They're going to give them warm drinks, play soft music, give them nourishment, and allow them to relax because this is so stressful. This is not stressful. There are people in other countries that can't even find food to eat or water to drink. That's stressful. They're living in shacks with no electricity. That's stressful. Disease runs rampant throughout villages and towns. That's stressful. There's war in their country and they're running for their lives. That's stressful. This is not. What we're seeing right now is the brainwashed youth that can't handle everything. Remember going back when you had a baseball game when you were young and the trophy was given out to the team that won. And the other teams, you know what? They had to suck it up. That's how it worked. Today, we have a baseball game with the young, and everyone gets a trophy. We can't have losers. They'll cry. Well, all of this brainwashing, all of that from the past, this is what it has created. And it's time for people to suck it up now. Because we're entering a situation, a time where things are going to get a lot worse. Now, during the presidential campaign, Hillary Clinton was continually out there. The corporate media was continually out there telling everyone that would listen that Trump was buddy-buddy with Putin. He was in contact with Russia. And that did turn out to be true. The Trump organization, he was in contact with Russia. Russian Deputy Foreign Minister confirmed that, yes, during the presidential campaign, they spoke to Donald Trump. But he also said they were in touch with Hillary Clinton. And they spoke to Hillary. And they spoke to both parties, not just one. So we can see that they were speaking to both because they didn't know who was going to be elected. And they were trying to talk to these individuals and start a dialogue because, as we can see from everything from the past, Putin wants peace. He even came out and told everyone that the government, the US government, the central banks, they were pushing for war. Everyone needs to wake up. It's not going to be good for everyone because it will turn nuclear. So it looks like both parties, they were speaking to Russia. We see WikiLeaks right now. Well, they're pushing President Obama to pardon Chelsea Manning and Edward Snowden right now. Will he do it? We don't know, but let's wait and see. We see out in Egypt, there are protests, anti-austerity protests going on right now. Riot police, armored vehicles, they're out there to control the situation. And we can see that the economy is deteriorating out there. Actually, if you really look around the world right now, we have so many areas where the economy is deteriorating, it is collapsing, and there are other areas where they have just entered a recession, entering a depression, and we can see right now the dominoes are falling, and they're falling very, very quickly. Germany is out there, and they're trying to have Donald Trump take a firm stand against Russia. German defense minister has called on Donald Trump to join the coalition and take a firm stand on Russia, because what they're trying to do is keep everything going with Russian aggression. They want the war. They're not letting up right now. We see right now Russia is awaiting the results of the investigation into civilian deaths in Syria. Washington promises to investigate all civilian deaths, and they're waiting for the information at this point. Now, something very interesting, where throughout the many years, we had many leaders that said, Assad must go, Assad must go. And they have been funding this war. They've been using terrorists. They've been using chemical weapons. They've been creating the refugee problem. They have been torturing people. And when we look back in time, all those individuals, David Cameron, said Assad must go. Well, Assad is still there. David Cameron is gone. Then we had Obama. Assad must go. Well, guess what? Assad's still there. Obama's going to go. Then we had Hillary Clinton. Assad must go. Well, guess what? Assad's still there. Hillary is no longer with the State Department, or she didn't make it into the White House. John Kerry. Assad must go. Well, his time is up. Same with Obama. Assad's still there. John Kerry, he's out. Who's next? Angela Merkel? She said Assad must go. Most likely, she might not get reelected. We see President Hollande. The same thing with him. Assad must go. So when we look at this, it's very interesting that all these leaders that say Assad must go, all the other leaders, they have come and they have gone. And Assad is still there. Very interesting. We see out in Syria right now that Russian experts, remember they sent a team in to look for chemical weapon usage in Aleppo, and they said they found chemical weapon usage in the 1070 area, southwestern suburbs of Aleppo, and they have the data. They sent in radiological, chemical, and biological teams to do the investigation. And now they're calling on the chemical weapons watchdog to come in, and this is the Organization for Prohibition of Chemical Weapons, to come into Aleppo and take their own and have their own investigation on what has happened here. They're going to provide them with all the evidence that they have, and what they're showing is that yes, the terrorist groups, they have used chemical weapons. The moderate rebels have used chemical weapons, and the information they have is unexploded shells that still have the chemicals inside. They have soil samples of where their shells have hit, and they have all the proof they need. So we can see everything that the deep state, the central banks, the U.S. government has done, it's starting to fall apart. We see the United States government, they're starting to cover their tracks. Because all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the U.S. Treasury said, we're going to place sanctions on al-Sham, that is the rebranded al-Nusra group. We're also going to place sanctions on al-Nusra and al-Qaeda. What are they doing right now? All of a sudden, they're doing this? No, it's because they don't want to be caught. We also see Obama came out and ordered attacks on al-Qaeda's Nusra front in Syria. Again, they're covering their tracks. They want to get rid of all these individuals that might say, hey, they were funding us. We were receiving payment. They were giving us weapons. We met with these officials. And it looks like they are cleaning house right now. I mean, we've seen this throughout Iraq, where the troops, the special op forces, go in and they clean out the different areas of the Islamic State before the Iraqi troops get in there. They transport the Islamic State to different regions when the Syrian government, when the Russians come in, and they destroy everything in that area because they don't want anyone to understand and realize what has really been going on right now. So it looks like they are covering their tracks big time, and we can see we're going to see a lot more of this. We also see the cyber attack in Russia, where this cyber attack hit 5 Russian banks. What Kapsersky has found is that these attacks were centered around a US-centered botnet. Now, they're not saying that the United States government did this, but they're showing that this was part of it. Now, we can assume different things. We understand that Obama said he was going to cyber attack Russia. So they don't know exactly if it's a state actor or if it's an individual. They don't know as of yet. All they know is what they found right now. They're not searching for IP addresses because, as we know, that takes a long period of time to figure out, because state actors, they're not going to do it from the US. They're going to bounce it off many, many different servers around the world, use different internet systems, devices, so you can't track where all this is coming from. But we know one thing for sure. The deep state, central bank, the US government, they're not going to give up. They're not just going to pack up and leave. They're going to make their next move. This is not the time to say, hey, everything's great now. We got Trump in there. He's going to fix everything. No, it's not going to happen that way. Actually, they're going to try to bring him to the dark side. They might even use threats. And eventually, if he doesn't do what they say, they have other alternatives for him. And we can see right now that depending on how the conversations go, depending on what has happened here, we can see that they are prepared, they are ready, they have the green light, they're bringing down the economy. It will crash because their plans are messed up once again. So they have to go to their next plan. They need someone to blame. And this is exactly their next plan. They need a scapegoat. And I really do believe they're going to blame this on Trump. There's no one else to blame it on, unless they still create this event where they blame it on Russia. But Trump might investigate it. See, this is the problem right now. Before, with the false flag events, there was no one there to investigate it. They just went along with it because they were all part of the same system. If Trump is truly on the outside, these events might not go anywhere because he might pick a team and he might investigate. I mean, a real investigation, not the kind the FBI does and all that. A real investigation to find out what actually happened in those areas. We wouldn't see the cover-up of agencies from the government rolling in there, telling the local police to stand back. So this is a problem with an event right now. Eventually it might lead to that, but we can see right now it looks like their plans have messed up. But one thing is still constant, is that this economy, it can't go any further. The economy is going to collapse. The debt load is just too much. The indicators that we're seeing right now are the same exact indicators that we saw prior to 2008. Actually, many of them are much worse. And many of the things that happened prior to 2008 and after 2008, well, those economic indicators, they have gotten worse. So what we're seeing right now is a complete failure of the system. And you need to be prepared. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.